Hey guys, Anthony the Rag Company, and in today's exciting video, we're going to show you how to detail an engine bay to make it look like new. In front of me is a very, very filthy Ford Raptor engine bay that's in desperate need of a detail. Now, when it comes to engine bay detailing, this can be kind of scary, but have no fear, because we're going to walk you through the step-by-step process on how to do this in the safest way possible to prevent anything from going wrong. And here at the very end, we're also going to show you how to protect the engine bay to keep it looking brand new and to make it easier to clean for future details. So engine bay detailing is one of my favorite things. I hope it's going to be one of your favorite things as well. So let's jump into it. So step one, we are going to mask off the sensitive components in the engine bay. This is a very important step because there's a lot of vehicles out there that are still older that are susceptible to water damage. So you want to do some research, jump on Google, see if those vehicles have anything that's going to be really prone to water damage. And from there, you're going to grab yourself a trash bag or a grocery bag or something that's plastic that's going to be able to repel some water. So in today's case, this Ford Raptor, look at all this. This is a lot of electronic stuff over here. I don't know what this is, to be honest, but I think I'm gonna mask this off just to be safe. This looks like the fuse box. This looks like some important plugs. We're gonna go ahead and mask that off. So grabbing our trash bag here, we're gonna bring it over the top, and we are going to simply tuck this in, like tucking a small child into bed. We're gonna go ahead and shove this into here, and you can go ahead and wrap it around the loom if you wanna do that. But we don't wanna cover everything, but we want to make sure that this isn't going to get just hammered with the pressure washer. So we're going to go ahead and tuck that in. Jimmy, how are we looking? Looks pretty good? I think it looks pretty good. And you can kind of, what's nice with a plastic bag, feel for like any type of sharp edges, and you can kind of just like tuck it in over a sharp edge so it's not going to go anywhere once you start spraying. But in my opinion, that looks pretty good. Now, for those sensitive areas, right? If we're completely missing that spot of the engine, how do you detail that? For something like this, I'll go through like a diluted APC, a microfiber towel, maybe a small brush, and just spray a little bit of liquid on it and then just agitate it and clean it up just section by section. That's gonna be the safest way about going about it. So I think this looks pretty good. So we'll move on to the other side where I think it's the IWE system on this truck, and we're gonna mask that off as well. Now I know what you're thinking, but Anthony, what about the battery? Aren't you gonna disconnect the terminals or mask off the battery? Well, in this case, I'm not. Most modern batteries are water resistant, meaning that I'm not gonna blast a pressure washer into all the nooks and crannies, but they can take a little bit of water, and you can also clean the top of a battery safely. Now, if you have an older car, right, let's just say you have a lot of exposed wiring, or if you have a bunch of janky accessories attached to your positive battery terminal, then yeah, I probably would mask that off. But in this case, this is a modern battery. I'm not worried about it getting wet. It is water resistant, and we are going to do some cleaning around the top of this. So the battery's good to go, and at this point, we've masked off this section over here, the IWE section, and now we are ready to jump into our next step. Before we start spraying water, one important thing I want to mention is that when it comes to engine bay detailing, personally, I like to work on a cold engine. I don't like it when the engine's hot. That's just me. The other big thing, we are in a studio, a shaded area. Don't do an engine bay detail in direct sunlight, and don't do it on a 110-degree day. You're gonna have a horrible time. Also, your water quality is gonna be important because we're using deionized water, which is a spot-free water. If you're using something that has higher mineral content in it, be mindful that when you're spraying water into the engine bay, you're gonna get overspray onto the windshield, the fenders, and all of that, and it possibly will dry, especially on a warmer day, meaning that you're gonna be left with a bunch of water spots and possibly some chemical staining on the windshield, and you don't want that either. So work in a cool, dry, shaded area, preferably with a cool engine bay. But here's the trick here. Because we're going to be spraying chemicals, I'm actually going to pre-rinse the truck first on the windshield, the fenders, and all of that. So if I do spray any type of chemical, it's going to be diluted with the water already on it. So let's go ahead and do that. Today's weapon of choice is going to be Green Star by Koch Chemie, a very safe all-purpose cleaner, and we're going to be using this diluted about 10-to-1 here in the IK sprayer. So 10 parts water to 1 part Green Star. I've already rinsed the windshield and the fenders, but we're going to start on the underside of the hood first because you can see this is pretty filthy. The reason why I want to do this is because a lot of this muck is gonna just fall straight down below, right? So I don't wanna start my engine bay cleaning process first and then clean this and have a bunch of just filth fall back onto a clean engine. We're gonna start with this first. I'm gonna pre-spray with some water and just get most of this grime off, and then we're gonna follow up with our IK sprayer with some Green Star, and then take one of our brushes and begin agitation. Now, I have a bunch of different brushes, and I'll show you those here in just a few minutes, but this engine bay is gonna need quite a few different brushes. So I think I'm gonna use our Ultra Wheel and Body brush. I'm probably also gonna use our Ultra Utility brush and possibly even the Detail Factory long handle to get in here. So let's go ahead, rinse, spray, and scrub. Underside of the hood looks pretty awesome. I think it's cleaned up really, really well. So after this is done, I went ahead and I re-rinsed the fenders again, re-rinsed the windshield again, because again, we're using APCs. So we don't want that to sit on paint or sit on the windshield for too long. We don't want any stains. So the other thing, if you have a snorkel on your vehicle, right? You have an intake on your vehicle, grab yourself an absorbent towel, and we're gonna go ahead and just shove this into here to prevent any water going into the intake now that we're ready to start cleaning the engine. So tuck that into there nice and gently. And then from here, we have a drippy hood falling onto our engine bay, which is now just making kind of a muddy mess. So my next step here is taking Magic Wheel Cleaner. This is one of my favorite tricks when it comes to engine bay detailing. So Magic Wheel Cleaner not only has a lot of great cleaners in it, but it's also got a built-in fallout remover. So if you have any type of fallout or any type of iron particulates in your engine bay, it's gonna be able to melt away those and dissolve them. This is kind of like our touchless spray, right? So I can spray this on, rinse it, and this engine bay is already gonna look a ton better, but we're gonna go ahead and do the following steps as well. So Magic Wheel Cleaner, more than just for wheels, also works amazing for engine bays. So taking this here, make sure we have our sprayer turned on, we're gonna go ahead and start pre-spraying our engine bay. Knock out the cover, knock out all our plastics, get back behind there on the firewall. And then what's nice too is that you can also do the inside of the fenders as well. So right along inside here, I can go ahead and spray some Magic Wheel Cleaner. After our Magic Wheel Cleaner's been sprayed, I'm gonna let it dwell for a couple minutes or so, probably no longer than 5 minutes. And in this case, back towards the firewall there, we do have some iron particulates that are dissolving, which is cool. Up here near the fenders, we have a little bit, but nothing crazy. Most of it's really small stuff that I kind of figured would probably be the case on this engine. But I've had other engine bays that have had, oh my gosh, it was like a disaster, right? The entire engine bay turned purple. It's beautiful, it's amazing because it works so well. But you don't have to let it sit for too long, 5 minutes or so, call it good, and then we'll go ahead and rinse it. Now, after the rinsing process, again, I'm not going to force water into areas that I don't really want it to, but I'm trying to get some good coverage. After the coverage is done, that's when we'll go through with our APC again. So Magic Wheel Cleaner is going to be at a pH of 5.5, which is on the more acidic side of cleaning. And then our Green Star is going to be at a 12.5, which is going to be the more alkaline side of cleaning. So we're kind of hitting this from both angles, right? We're hitting this with a lower pH, and then we're hitting it with a higher pH, trying to kind of meet in the middle there. But combined, this is going to give us probably the best clean possible. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So it's been a few minutes now. Let's go ahead and rinse the engine. Next up, IK Foam Pro 2 with Green Star in this at about, it's about 10 to 1, 12 to 1 or so. I kind of just eyeballed it, to be honest. But what's nice about using a foamer in this case is now it's going to not get things as wet, but it's also going to give us some more working time when it comes to using an APC. So I'm going to foam up the engine bay here, get it nice and frothy, and then from there I'm going to have my bucket with a little bit of soap in it, like I think GSF is what I have in there, with a couple brushes. And then I'm going to go through and start the Bob Rossing process, right? Painting the engine bay clean and getting this to look really, really good. So IK Foam Pro 2, it's maxed out here. Let's go ahead and show you how I'm going to lay this down. Ooh, that is delicious. Head there, getting kind of the nooks and crannies. And again, look at the windshield, right? We're getting overspray there. That's why I want to spray that down with water to keep that from drying out. Taking our Ultra Utility brush here. This is probably going to do most of the brunt work. We have Green Star sitting on the surface. I like to pre-spray my brush. Oh, another important thing, wear gloves, people. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. Gloves are going to be really important for the engine bay cleaning process just because all the chemicals and how much you're going to be putting your hands in things. So do like me. Forgot to mention that, sorry. All right, a little bit of more Green Star here on the surface, into my brush. We are going to begin getting all this agitated. Brushes are going to be your friends with this. You could try to do this with towels. It's going to be a total pain though. So brushes are really going to be your best bet because most of the plastics in modern vehicles are going to be textured in the engine bay, meaning they're going to hold on to a little bit more grime. So getting a brush to be able to get in there and break that up is going to be important. So knocking this all out here on the cowling. And what's going to be nice is that this cowl area is probably going to clean up the best, in my opinion. I think that once we spray our special sauce on here, it's going to set up beautifully. It's going to really transform the way this all looks. For our big engine cover back here, we're going to take our Detail Factory long handle. This is mainly because reaching back there would be a total pain without it. Ooh, we're going to begin getting it all over us. I think me and Jimmy are both wearing this stuff now. Here, Airbox always is going to have a bunch of little fins in there. So taking our Ultra Wheel and Body brush, this thing is going to be able to get into all of that, get all that grime out of there. This brush is awesome. I love it for all these intricate things like this. We have our trusty Ego blower here, and so we're going to be using this to actually blow dry the engine to a certain degree. So the product that we're going to be using at the very end is Motorplast, right? Motorplast actually needs a little bit of water to create that bond and to create that nice universal dressed look, but it's overly saturated right now. Right now we have a lot of water in a lot of areas that we don't need it to be, not necessarily for that final step. So I like to blow dry it, and this is also going to help you guys feel good inside, nice and warm inside, because we're not going to have a bunch of just residual water. So we're going to take our Ego blower, flip it over, start blowing out all this residual stuff, and then I'll show you how we kind of do a very light pre-spray with the pressure washer or a hose or sprayer to get just a little bit of water misted onto the surface for that final step. So let's get to blowing. since we finished blow drying the engine, right now it's just kind of damp. This is the time that we're going to go through and clean up those sensitive areas. So in this case, I'm going to use Coach Chemi's all-around surface cleaner. It's kind of like an interior cleaner, but you can also use it for some exterior stuff, you know, door jams, things like that. But it works great for an engine bay, especially on spot cleaning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off my bag here, and you know what? I think that did a pretty good job, minus all of that I just spilled all over the place. So we'll take our all surface cleaner. We're going to clean this up with a towel and just a brush, and then that way that's going to get cleaned up. And then come over here to our IWE side, pull this out of here just like that. And yeah, let's go ahead and just get to the finer details. We have almost made it to the very end. Our last step here. After we've blown out most of the water out of here, what I want to do is I'm going to do one final mist. So it's going to be just kind of a mist of water across the surface, just so we can get that motor plast to bond to it. And so just don't go crazy, just get water on all of the plastic surfaces, and then you'll see what happens in the next step. A trick I like to do is turn off the pressure washer, so I'm just misting water at this point. Another trick is you can have a, if you have a hose, you can get the nozzle that has just the mist setting. So turn on to the mist setting and just simply mist the engine bay, and that's all you have to do. So that's how easy this is. That's it. That's all we're doing. That's all the water that we need, because Motorplast is going to do the rest of the work. KCX Motorplast, magic in a bottle. I know Magic Wheel Cleaner exists, but this is like the true winner. So taking this, we're gonna go ahead and just start misting the engine bay. And right when you hit the water, you're gonna see it instantly react. We're gonna go ahead and knock out the engine cover. That's where we're gonna see our biggest difference back there. Get that pre-sprayed as well. And then you can hit your hoses, you can hit metal parts, you can hit your painted areas, you can hit your battery if you want to hit your battery. Do the top of that fuse box cover, mist that back there, and then airbox. This is probably one of the fastest ways to make money in terms of like wowing people. I've done so many details for people where I've used just this whole combination for engine bay cleaning, and when I pop that hood, they're mind blown. I mean, you guys will be mind blown once you see how this sets up, because it looks so good. This is the best stuff out there. Now, it uses water to create this elastomeric bond, but what I find is that the engine bay just stays cleaner for so much longer. I'm not talking like a week or two or like a month. I've seen Motorplast jobs last like a year and the engine bays still look brand new. So trust me, this is legit stuff. I absolutely have a bottle. I absolutely cannot recommend it enough if you're looking for a killer engine dressing. If you want to, you can also spot clean with Motorplast or spot dress with Motorplast. So Carson here just had a good question. He's like, what if we wanted to just take a towel with a little bit of Motorplast on it and just kind of dress an area at a time? You can totally do that as well. We're gonna remove our towel here that we had just in our cowling, clean up some of this in here. If you want to, you can go crazy and you can just take off your whole air scoop and then do a deep clean if you want to do it that way. I'm just gonna kind of wipe this out and then call it good. It's time for the magic to happen. So at this point, we're just gonna close the hood and we are going to just let this set up. So it takes roughly about an hour or so. I like to give it usually about 2 hours, and then I will do my final opening, look everything over, make sure everything looks good, and then I might blow it out one more time, but you guys are gonna love the after shot. So let's go ahead and close this. So now that you have about 2 hours to kill, this would be a good time to actually wash your vehicle now. Because again, we've had different APCs and chemicals kind of oversprayed onto certain areas. So what I like to do is just take this time while this is setting up to go through and do a full wash. So let's kill some time. We're ready to check out this cake. It's been baking for about a couple hours, and holy smokes. Dude, I'm telling you, Motorplast does it every single time. This looks phenomenal. So all of the plastics are now dressed, they're deeper, they're darker looking, they look brand new. Got a little bit of residual motor plast that still needs to dry up. You can also take a towel and kind of blot dry that if you need to. But for the most part, you don't really need to touch anything. So that's the beauty of motor plast. You just let it set up and it's going to turn out beautifully almost every single time. And so especially when it comes to engine bays that have plenty of plastics and different ducting and all sorts of stuff, it really deepens and darkens that. From how filthy this was to how good this looks now, nuts. As far as maintenance goes and maintaining the cleanliness of the engine, you don't need to do much. Unless you're Bajaing your vehicle or off-roading it every single day, for the most part, motor plast is gonna hold up and offer protection, and I find that has really good anti-static properties. So really all you have to do in the future is just do a quick rinse. Seriously, you can just take a little bit of water, pressure washer, you can do a little bit of all-purpose cleaner if you want to, but all you have to do from really here on out is just a quick rinse, touch up spots as needed, and if down the road you do have to do a full engine bay detail again, you just follow the steps in this video and you'll be right back to where you were. To be honest, I think that this will probably hold up for the next several years, unless this beast goes off-road. But outside of that, this looks phenomenal. I'm super happy with this, and hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the process as well. So as always, if you guys love the detailing content and you want to see more of it here at the Rag Company YouTube channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the future videos. Also give us a like if you liked what you saw here today. Drop a comment, let me know what you think down below. And as always, stay tuned for more videos right here at the Rag Company. See ya.